Legendary. Just a legendary loss with all that the Niners, with all that was at stake for the 49ers, had they won this game, how their draft position would have been affected. I mean, the Niners really had no business losing this game. They were up 10 in the fourth quarter. They'd given up 6 points. They had this game in the bag. It was going to be the biggest mistake, the worst day in 49ers franchise history. It was going to be like that day where the Niners won their second game of the 2016 season and sacrificed getting the number 1 pick. It was almost going to be that disastrous. But against all odds, the 49ers came together and found a way to lose. It was sort of like the Miracle on Ice from 1980, but better. This was the Miracle on Grass. And 30 years from now, you will tell your children and your children's children that you were there when the Niners found a way to maintain their draft position and not win despite winning by 10 points going into the fourth quarter. I mean, one person couldn't have lost this game. Everyone needed to come together. So I want to give some game balls. I mean, first of all, CJ Beathard. Let's start with CJ. I mean, he played really well, too well early on in the game. I mean, he struggled early. He had the game plan down pat. The Niners couldn't move the ball past their 35-yard line, but then someone asked this dude to throw deep to Richie James Jr. I mean, it was the most selfish, disgusting act a quarterback on the Niners has done in years. This guy completes a 45-yard pass to Richie James Jr. and actually plays well for most of the game. Like, where was this when it counted, CJ? Now you want to play well. Now you want to play well. Okay, fine. You call yourself a team player? Finally, though, late in the game, when the Niners were winning and could have pulled away, he starts off by throwing to Kittle when Dwelly was open on the other seam. That was good. That was terrific. And then later on, he had Kittle wide open in the end zone, didn't throw it to him. That's elite. That is elite tanking. And then on the next play, he got himself sacked. He turns right, he turns left, gets tackled. You can't do it any better than that. And then finally, when that's not enough, he fumbles and gives the ball to Seattle. I mean, imagine if in CJ Beathard's final game with the 49ers, his final present to you and the organization was to win a game they're supposed to lose and ruin the draft position and make it more difficult for the 49ers to find an heir apparent at quarterback. Imagine if that was CJ Beathard's legacy to the 49ers. Play terribly for 4 years, lose all the time, and then finally get it together to ruin the Niners draft position the final 2 weeks of your tenure with the 49ers. Great. Thanks, CJ. Good luck. Go enjoy Tennessee. That's what was going to happen. On his way out the door, he was going to say, enjoy the 15th pick in the draft. Thanks a lot. CJ, you did a real nice thing throwing this game and losing it. I'm not saying you lost it on purpose. You just channeled your inner CJ, which is a guy who loses games. So good job. And you did it in many different ways. It wasn't just one play. But let's keep going. It wasn't just you. I don't want to single you out as the one hero today because there was George Kittle. I mean, George Kittle played really, really well. He had like 68 receiving yards, made a one-handed catch, also had 2 drops. Those 2 drops were the most important plays of the game for George Kittle. The Niners wouldn't have lost this game without those 2 drops. The Niners wouldn't have lost this game if CJ Beathard hadn't missed George Kittle in the end zone. So, I mean, these are really important plays. Thank you, Rudy. Let's keep going. Justin School, Mike McGlinchey, the 2 of them equally great in pass protection. When the Niners, you talk about like, you need a turnover here. You need a turnover, a momentum shifting play. The Niners were down 3. They needed to turn the ball over. Mike McGlinchey, Justin School competing for who can create the turnover on offense. They both do. School gets beat. McGlinchey gets beat. School's guy strips the ball from Beathard. McGlinchey's guy recovers it. You can't ask for better execution. So they had a part in it too. I mean, then also you got Eric Armstead, guy making $85 million a year. He's supposed to lead by example, and he does. The Niners winning late in the game. He bites so hard on a play action fake, he's still chasing the running back right now, even though Russell Wilson pulled the ball back, threw it to his tight end for 20 yards, scored a touchdown 3 plays later. Eric Armstead still running across Glendale, Arizona, looking for that running back who he thinks has the ball. You can't draw it up any better than that. Eric, fantastic. Let's keep going. I mean, I'm just saying the Niners really could have won this game. And winning this game would have been a disaster. You would have been upset. Kyle would have been upset. Jed would have been upset. It's really against all odds that they pulled off this loss. We need to give them credit because winning this game would have been the worst. Fred Warner, this guy simultaneously had a great game and a terrible game. 11 tackles and a sack, touchdown catch given up to Tyler Lockett. You can't do it any better than that. So now he gets to add to his resume and help the Niners lose. I mean, that's a captain. That's a leader. You play a losing effort even when you're good. And then finally, a Kelo Witherspoon. Every great thing that CJ Beathard did, every great thing that Kittle, McGlinchey, School, Armstead, Warner did to seal this loss wouldn't have mattered if a Kelo Witherspoon hadn't stepped up at the end. It was 4th and goal from the 4. If the Niners had actually held and had one more good defensive play, they win this game. I mean, they were about to blow it. And Kelo's like, guys, I got this. I got this. And he gave up a touchdown catch to Tyler Lockett. In the history of the 49ers franchise, we're going to look back on that as the most clutch touchdown catch allowed in 49ers franchise history. I don't think Eric Davis ever gave up a touchdown catch at a more opportune time. You talk about a clutch gene. You know, all these athletes are terrific. They're in the NFL for a reason, but a guy has a clutch gene. That's a Kelo. Guy plays well all game. Played well last week. You're thinking, there's no way a Kelo can lose this game. Wrong, because he's clutch. It doesn't matter how well he plays up until the 4th quarter. He will find a way to botch the game at the end, and that's what makes him a Kelo Witherspoon. That's why, to me, a Kelo Witherspoon gets the game ball of game balls. This was the Kelo game. As clutch as CJ was, it wouldn't have counted if a Kelo Witherspoon hadn't given up that final touchdown catch. Kelo, you get our respect. We will never forget that your final act as a 49er was to improve their draft position. I mean, what a selfless act. Sure, you cost yourself $3-4 million on that play in free agency. Yeah, it's true. But you helped the 49ers who aren't going to re-sign you next year. Wow, what a guy. I have more respect for you now than before you gave that touchdown catch. Had you actually broken up that pass, I never would have forgiven you for that. I would have looked at you differently. I would not have been a professional play, but you are the ultimate professional. The way you let the guy just cross your face and run past you, the way you cursed on the sidelines and acted like you cared, I mean, that's perfect. Wonderful job, Kelo Witherspoon. Great job. Let's clap it up for the 49ers finding a way to improve their draft position, because that's what matters. Winning this game would have been just a horrendous abomination. And I won a bet. I said the Niners were going to lose, and I won the bet. So good for me.